Hello, this is Tasha from Sensi, and today I am going to read you part 4 of Aardvark, Who Wasn't Sure. Let's begin. Mrs. Aardvark spent the rest of the night hunting for termite hills. Pim didn't go with her as he was tired after his digging lesson. He went to sleep in the new burrow and, of course, he was just waking up as his mother came home at dawn to sleep. "All right," she said when she saw his hopeful face. "After your feed, you can go up top for a while. Don't be too long, though. I'm ready for a good day's sleep." Soon, Pim was scampering up the tunnel. He popped his head out and listened. Nothing. He ventured out a little further, and when his night eyes had become used to the light, he discovered that this was an interesting place. The new burrow was on a sort of shelf. There was what looked like the tops of trees scalloping the edge of it. And beyond them, the ground stretched out as far as he could see. Suddenly, he heard something. There was a sort of munching noise coming from the treetops. Monkeys? Very cautiously, his tail leaving a trail in the sand, Pim moved towards the sound. As he neared the edge of the shelf, which was really a small cliff, Pim saw that the sound was being made by a long, pink tongue, which was plucking leaves from a tree. The owner of the tongue saw Pim at the same time as Pim saw her. Shyly, she jerked back her head, which was balanced on a long neck that seemed to go down forever. Pim couldn't help staring. He peeped over the edge of the cliff. She went right down to the ground below. She had not climbed up the tree as he had first thought. She was as tall as the tree. Pim forgot about being polite. "What are you?" he said, googling his eyes at her. "Me? I'm just a giraffe." She smiled at Pim in a friendly way. "Haven't you seen a giraffe before?" "No, I haven't," Pim said. You're very tall, aren't you?" "I suppose I am. I have to be to reach my food. I have never seen anyone like you either. What are you?" "An aardvark." Pim waited for the usual reply. "An odd... I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch it." Well, this was a change at any rate. Mind you, Miss Giraffe was in no position to find anyone else as an oddity. "An aardvark," Pim said clearly. "I live under the ground, and you live a long way above it." "Well, yes," Miss Giraffe admitted. "I find reaching down to the ground rather difficult. Drinking is really terribly difficult, actually. My legs are so long and my knees won't bend. I have to straddle them out sideways and bend my head down in between them to reach the water." It's a good job that I have a long neck. Show me, Pim said. Miss Giraffe showed him, which was very kind of her, seeing that it was such an uncomfortable position for her. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, Pim said when her head came up. How do you get down to sleep? That must be really difficult, said Pim. I don't, Miss Giraffe said. I sleep standing up. Oh, Pim said. Do you know, I probably would have never met you at all if I hadn't have been up here on this cliff, not to talk to you. Now, you show me something, said Miss Giraffe. That foxed Pim. What sort of something? He asked. Well, something special that you can do because you're an aardvark. Pim thought hard. Well, I can dig, he said. Can you dig? No, said Miss Giraffe. Show me. So Pim, delighted to show off, dug a hole very fast, shooting earth into the air and behind him with his hind legs and his tail. Miss Giraffe was very impressed. But why are your ears all flat like that? She said, when he popped his head out of the hole again. You do look funny. It keeps the earth out, Pim said. He had thought of something else that he could do. I can stick my tongue in and out very fast. Watch. Oh, I can do that too, Miss Giraffe said. There. My tongue is just as long as yours. And so began a tongue sticky out match. And that was how poor sleepy Mrs. Aardvark found them when she came out to see why Pim had been such a long time. Really? You really are rude. I apologise for my son's manners, Miss Giraffe. Pim, he should know better. Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Aardvark, Miss Giraffe said, winking at Pim. I asked him to, but I must go now. My mother will be looking for me. Goodbye! She turned and galloped away, her head and neck swaying backwards and forwards in a steady rhythm as she moved. Pim watched her go sadly. She was nice, he told his mother, but I'm really glad I don't have to sleep standing up. I shall be grateful to get any sleep at all today, Mrs. Aardvark snapped, even if I have to stand on my head. Pim decided that it would be unwise to keep her from her burrow any longer. Mrs. Aardvark got her sleep. She and Pim slept all day, and then they were ready at nightfall for a termite hunt. They came out of the tunnel into the bright moonlight. It was almost as light as day. We'll have to be very careful tonight, Mrs. Aardvark said as they moved off. There'll be a lot of predators around. Predators? Said Pym. What are they? Well, they are animals that may fancy an aardvark for supper, Mrs. Aardvark said. Lions, leopards, cheetahs. I haven't heard of them. What's a cheetah? Said Pym. Well, it's another sort of big cat. They're very fast runners, faster than anything I've ever seen. Pym looked down at his clumsy feet. How do we get away from them? He asked. The usual way, Mrs. Aardvark replied. Find a hole to shelter in, or dig one quickly. If we're really concerned, we can always fight, of course. I had to fight a cheetah once. Did you win? Pym asked, gazing at his mother, wide-eyed. I did, she said grimly. I wouldn't be here otherwise, but I was lucky. Really, it is best to get away from them by digging, if you can. Pym looked about himself fearfully. He did not fancy his chances of digging faster than a cheetah could run, even if he saw one coming from a long way away. I think you'd better teach me how to fight soon, he said. All right, his mother said. I suppose it's about time that you learned, although if you didn't keep wandering off by yourself, it wouldn't be necessary. I'm here to defend you. That's what mothers are for. Oh, good, Pym said, moving very close to her. If a cheetah chases us, will you dig us a hole or fight it? He was rather looking forward to watching a good fight. Wait and see, said his mother. It may never happen. It didn't. They reached a patch of termite hills without even smelling Big Cat, never mind hearing any distant roars. Pym was almost disappointed. Now, don't go wandering off, said his mother, as she set about breaching a tall termite's nest. You stay near me. Pym looked around him. There were some very interesting looking bushes by a funny shaped tree just across the clearing. Can I go over there? He asked. I'll be very good. I promise not to go any further. His mother broke off her attack on the nest and looked at the bushes. All right, she said, but come back at once if you hear or smell anything dangerous. Pym scampered over to the bushes. There was nothing there. Not at first. He had only been there a few minutes when a tangled ball of young animals came rolling past him. He was hidden from them by the big bush. They were making squeaking noises. They were obviously fighting each other or playing at fighting each other. One of them broke away from the others and climbed onto a low branch of the tree. Pym could see him more clearly. It looked as if he had been crying big black tears. He had 2 dark lines from his eyes down to his mouth. He was covered in spots. The fur on his back was long and fluffy, but underneath he was smooth and dark. He was balancing on the branch with the help of a long, spotted tail. Suddenly, he sprang down, tumbling his brothers and sisters in all directions. They turned on him with little growls and squeaks. The fighting got quite fierce. Pim was dying to join in. They were having so much fun. There was just one thing bothering him. They were quite small and they didn't look a bit dangerous, but they smelled catty. He was an aardvark after all, and cat meant danger. But now they didn't look a bit dangerous. They had stopped scuffling and were all cuddled together. One of them was licking the smallest one. Perhaps he'd come off the worst in the fight. The others were making a nice soft purring sound. A very peaceful and contented sound it seemed to Pim. Surely they couldn't be cats. He had to find out. Pim came out from behind the bush and walked towards them. When they saw him, they jumped up and huddled together. The biggest one said, "Why you?" "An aardvark," Pim said. "I was just wondering." "An odd what?" the spotted animal said, and the others tittered. "An aardvark," Pim said. "I eat termites." We're cheetahs," the cub said. "And we eat aardvarks." "Not this one you don't," said Pim, turning and bolting back to his mother. The cheetah cubs pretended to chase him, but they were tired after their fight, and of course they were much too young to eat aardvarks. When she saw Pim running towards her, Mrs. Aardvark quickly swallowed her last termite. "Cheetahs!" gasped Pim. "In here then," said his mother, and shoved him inside the empty termite nest. With great speed, she dug herself deep into the ground. Just in time. The cub's mother came back, and she smelt aardvark. But she soon lost interest when she couldn't find the cubs. And anyway, she had to find them, and she had a hungry family to feed. When she had gone, Mrs. Aardvark collected Pim, and they galloped home across the open ground. "How did you know that cheetah was coming?" Mrs. Aardvark asked Pim. Well, because I'm an aardvark," he said loftily. "I smelt it." His mother was not impressed. "Rubbish," she said. "That's a whopper. Now, tell me the truth." So Pim did tell her all about it. And that is the end of part 4. I'll see you next time for part 5.